Hi, Steve Gamache here with the Chef Knives to Go Quick Look product review, and this time we're looking at the Kohetsu SLD steel Gyuto 210mm knife. So this line of knives has a core steel of SLD semi-stainless high-speed tool steel, and the heat treat rating is about 61 to 62 Rockwell on that core steel. The construction on these, there is a softer stainless steel cladding over the top of that core steel, so it's stainless over semi-stainless. And SLD is kind of a high wear resistance, almost stainless steel. The amount of chromium in it is close to what's rated as stainless, but not quite. So it might stain a little bit, but it's not reactive carbon by any means. The weight on this knife is about 175 grams or 6.2 ounces, and the blade length is turned 15 millimeter, 8.5 inches. On this particular one, the overall length around 14.4 inches. The spine thickness back here at the heel, it's pretty thick coming out of the handle, so it's 4.5, but it narrows down pretty quick and then holds 2.5 or so, and doesn't have a lot of distal taper to it until you get, of course, to the grind, which is actually a pretty high grind on this till you get to the tip. So the tip is fairly thin itself, but it's not a lot of distal taper on the knife as a whole. The blade height is 48.2 millimeters on this sample at the heel. And the handle type on this is an oval. The sight has changed a little bit where I used to say wood, but they say oak over a plastic ferrule. And you do have a bump in the wood between the wood and ferrule, diameter here. That's standard kind of on these handles. The handle actually has a pretty good feel to it, even though it does have a plastic ferrule. 3-inch circumference right here, so pretty standard size. The height is pretty generous for a 210, so plenty of knuckle clearance or hand clearance for the cutting board. These knives have an interesting finish as we take a closer look. So they've got some embossed kanji on them, and then they've got kind of a lattice work pattern to the blade flats themselves that help enhance food release or non-stick properties. These have a pretty high grind on them, and it's a pretty smooth finish. So you tend to get a little bit of product sticking with that, but this again, this texture to the main blade face helps a bit with the non-stick properties. Fit and finish is really quite good on the blade. You've got some relief here on the choil neck area, emulto, and also on the spine, so it's comfortable right out of the box. The out-of-the-box edge wasn't real fabulous on this. I'll give it maybe a 4 out of 10. It just needed to be sharpened, so I thought that sharpened up quite nicely on the stones, and it's nice and sharp at this point. And again, performance, it's good performance. I'm not going to say it's a super skinny laser, but it goes through products pretty well. Again, you'll get a little bit of stick on the larger smooth blade road. The tip is pretty thin. It's not going to laser through soft ingredients super easy, but it goes through well. So I'd say this is a balanced performer. It's got a little bit of heft to it as well. Let's take a look at it profile-wise. Balance point, it's pretty much for me right on the money for a pinch grip, right about there. There's my pinch, so I mean it's like right there. So it's got a neutral feel to it. It's got just enough weight to give you a little bit of heft. I didn't find it wedged much, given that high grind. That helps that aspect of it. So let's take a look at the profile. Excuse me, getting out of order here. So here's your profile. And let's take a look at it on the board. So it doesn't have a long or true long flat spot. It's just kind of a smooth curve with a little bit of a flat area at the heel and a little bit of back belly. Right there, you can see me rocking into that. And then a fair amount of curve or belly towards the tip. So you can get this pretty high. This rocks way up there. So the tip has a fairly aggressive curve to the belly on it. Bring it back here, you can see that. So this would make a real nice rocker. If you love a long flat spot and like to push, cut, and chop a lot, this probably isn't a good blade for you unless you adjust your technique. But real nice if somebody's coming from European knives and they want something with some belly to it, kind of a transition between that and a much flatter profile. This might be a good transition profile for them. You can still rock it. They've got a nice profile on this from a craftsmanship point of view. There's no bumps or hot spots or valleys in it. It just smoothly rolls right into that heel. So it's a nicely ground knife. So there you have a semi-stainless, stainless over semi-stainless construction, I should say. Kind of middleweight Gyuto, the Kohetsu SLD Gyuto 2 10mm knife.